Epilogue. Discontinue. Your name is Mituna the Psiioniic, Captor, but you just call yourself Psi. For thousands of sweeps, you are trapped in the Imperial helm, stripped of your identity, deprived of your autonomy, and drained of your energy to serve her imperious condescension. One sweep ago, your descendant, Sollux Captor, rescued you from the helm while the heiress brought about the end of the Condess's reign. You'd had no idea he even existed until he came and gave you the freedom you couldn't even dream of. There's no space in a helmsman's pan for dreams. You devote him your life countless times over just for getting you out, but he didn't stop there. He stayed by your side as you healed, spoke up for you when you couldn't, and gave you a place to belong where you are valued as a person and not as a thing. From the moment he pried the wires out of you, Sollux's top priority was your well-being. He insists he had no idea what he was doing, but you think he got accustomed to taking care of you. As you built back your strength, you had to constantly assure him you didn't need help anymore. It took nearly a perigee to finally get him to chill, at which point you got sick for the first time. Nothing major, just a little cold, and he freaked out and stayed with you on the ship for a week until you got better. He's not so overprotective anymore, thankfully, though you appreciate that he cares about you so much. For some reason, you'd never expect people to be nice to you. Might be something to do with the millennia of objectification and exploitation, who's to say? In all seriousness, your recovery hasn't been easy. The abuse you suffered continues to impact you in so many ways, large and small, and it always will. The wounds have long since healed, but they left behind thick scars in the branching shapes of the overgrown wires and the lightning patterns of your own Psi. The constant overload to your frazzled nerves seems to have taken a permanent toll on your coordination and mobility, not to mention the constant pain. Sometimes you're overcome with grief or anger or hopelessness. The slightest things can remind you of the helm or of her and send you spiraling into panic. You still have flashbacks. You still have daymares. You still have the ports, for fuck's sake. You can't just forget. But what you can do is dedicate yourself to ensuring that no one has to endure what you did ever fucking again. This dedication is the reason you now find yourself aboard a small rogue ship that's been violating the helming laws established by the newly formed Alternian Space Travel Regulations Organization, ignoring the official notices warning them of as much, and evading capture for perigees. Your ship finally came within range for Sollux to force them to land on a nearby planet, using a modified version of the same system shutdown program he used on the battleship, and now you're here to free their helmsman the same way Sollux freed you. Helming is extremely regulated these days, in the name of ensuring the safety, freedom, and dignity of the helmsman, and the punishments for noncompliance are severe. Feferi wants to phase it out entirely someday, but the technology for non-psionic-powered long-distance space travel just isn't there yet. Of course, there will always be people resisting the changes she implements. This ship's crew of 3, for instance, is putting up a hell of a fight. They're outnumbered, but they're tireless. You mostly try to stay out of the way, but you can more than make up for your physical weakness with the unrivaled strength, precision, and reflexes of Captor Psionics. You can parry blows, redirect projectiles, and even shield your teammates with a solid wall of Psi, as long as your focus remains unbroken. "You can't have him!" the cerulean captain yells and lunges for Nepeta. She's quick to jump out of his path, though, and Sollux dives in to try to catch him before he can recover. But that wily little teal-blood sees Sollux turn his back and decides to take advantage, climbing onto a chair and then leaping off the central control panel. "Sollux, look out!" you shout, and rush to his defense. You extend an arm to shield Sollux, and a shield of Psi appears with the motion. The tiny teal smacks into it head first. You fling the shield away with her still on it. It dissipates when it slams into the wall, leaving her to drop onto the floor in a heap. "Whoa," Sollux murmurs, having turned around in time to see that.
You okay?
Yeah, I'm fine. Thanks for the save. The moment provided enough distraction for the cerulean to get away, though, which you only realize when he reappears in front of you, startling you both. He examines you with an unsettling amount of interest.
You two look strong,
he snarls. Don't touch him! Sollux growls and puts an arm out in front of you.
I wonder how much power I could get from the two of you combined.
The blue blood goes on with a malicious grin.
Gonna need a bigger ship.
The moment you hear those words, the very air around you starts to crackle, electric with rage. No, 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 no! You don't quite catch what happens next. Your breathing is heavy, everything gets loud and bright, too bright to see anything. You feel Sollux's hand on your arm pulling you away. The light fades from your vision, and you see the cerulean collapsed on the floor, wounded but breathing. He wanted to... You stagger back, your arm slipping out of Sollux's grasp. People are looking at you now. You hear them talking, but you're not sure what they say. You stumble into the wall and slide down as your blood pusher pounds so hard it aches in your chest. Curled up alone in the corner, with your eyes squeezed shut and your hands clenched in your hair, you hyperventilate through gritted teeth as the memory of wires winds its way into your head. Your mind races wordlessly, drowning in fear and pain, just like when you are first plugged in. You look up when you hear Sollux coming closer, clear concern on his face. He tries to reach out to you, but you flinch away from his hand before he makes contact. No! At once, he pulls back and just sits next to you a safe distance away. No touch, then, he confirms. It's okay. You're okay. Just breathe. You feel the wires delving into you, splitting your flesh and draining your psi. You feel them, but when you yank your sleeve up, there's nothing under it but your empty ports. You run your hands over your forearms, but it doesn't quite dispel the sensation. A few quiet minutes pass with Sollux at your side, repeating the same few reassurances to remind you that he's here. You try desperately to focus on the sound of his voice, and not the feeling of stabbing electricity in your nerves. It's a little hard to hear him over your pounding pulse and your sharp, unsteady breaths. When you close your eyes, all you can see is ship interfaces. You fight to keep staring at your decidedly untethered arms in front of you, but you can't concentrate on anything right now. You can barely process anything you see. Eventually, your head begins to clear, and Sollux's voice starts reaching you again. He's still gently assuring you that you're okay, that you're safe, that he's here. Trembling, you try to breathe more slowly, and it gives you something to focus on other than the sheer terror. As the panic finally recedes, it leaves you feeling cold and hollow. You slowly lift your head, now stone-heavy, and take in your quiet surroundings. You and Sollux are the only people here now.
Where is everyone?
They're all okay, Sollux tells you gently. KN and NEP are taking the blues to the nearest reform center. AA and EQ are bringing the golds back to our ship. We did it. Everyone's fine. Mission accomplished. He says it reassuringly, but it doesn't console you as much as it was meant to. They finished the mission, and you completely fell apart on them instead of helping. If anything, you only made it harder by pulling Sollux away from the task at hand. Embarrassment builds in your stomach, and you sigh, leaning limply against Sollux's side.
Sorry,
you mumble. Seeing that you can handle touch again, Sollux puts his arms around you. Are you okay? It's not an easy question to answer. You're not hurt, you're not in danger, but your pusher is still racing with the awareness that you're not 30 feet from the helm's block. Shamefully, you remember that this isn't even the first time you've come along on a rescue only to break down in a panic. Before your first mission, Sollux and Aradia both asked you endlessly if you were sure you didn't want to stay on the ship with Karkat, and you insisted you could handle it. And in your defense, you were right, at least the first few times. But these days, their apprehension seems a lot more warranted. You look around at the dim, quiet command block. All the screens are blank. There's no mechanical whirring, no crackling electricity. A running ship would never sound like this. The only other time you've heard a ship this quiet was just over a sweep ago, suspended for hours in a digital sensory deprivation, using every last bit of power you had left to try to get a response out of anything, still connected to the battleship, but no longer in control. As soon as you make that comparison, you realize that even when you're not in danger, these missions bring every terrible thing you went through to the front of your mind. You've done this so many times now, and it never gets easier. Reluctantly, you tell Sollux,
I think next time I'll stay behind.
Sollux just nods. He must have anticipated that you'd say that. You came along because you wanted to help, to protect them, to do more for their cause than wait by the sidelines. But maybe you're just hurting yourself by being here.
Let's go,
you whisper. He takes your hand and helps you up, guiding you gently through the dark hallways and off the now abandoned ship. When you make it back to your respite block, the first thing you do is change into more comfortable clothes and tie back your long hair in what is now your signature style. As you pull a hoodie on over your t-shirt, you almost always wear long sleeves because you don't like to see the ports. You catch sight of yourself in the mirror. The reflection that stares back at you is dim and lifeless. You can't stand to maintain eye contact with yourself for more than a second. You look so tired and sad. Having a complete breakdown really takes it out of you. You're tired of this. You're so fucking tired of being tormented by the same shit. You were tired of it even when you were still plugged in. But the worst part is that it's supposed to be over now. You got out. It's over. So why, as you become more acclimated to your new life and your time in the helm grows more distant, are you only getting more terrified of being dragged back? Why can't the past just stay in the past? Sometimes, as important as it is for people to know what happened to you, sometimes you wish you could just forget. Forget the pain, forget the abuse, forget all that fucking time. You're tired of carrying the weight of it all. You just want to leave behind all those sweeps of pain and do something else, be someone else, because you're tired of being the traumatized, fragile one. Maybe stepping back from missions was the right call. Wiping away tears you don't remember shedding, you emerge reluctantly from your block and knock lightly on the door next to yours. It's Sollux's, of course. I'm over here, Sollux calls from the common area. You head in that direction and find him on the lounge plank. He's already facing you when you walk in, but he brightens a little when your eyes meet his. Hey, Psi. How are you feeling?
Better, I guess. Mostly tired.
Your dejected tone makes his face fall. You come around and sit next to him, and he puts an arm around your shoulders. I hate that it's still hurting you, he tells you softly.
It won't go away. Ever. Maybe one day won't feel so big. Sorry, always dumping this on you.
You apologize, like you always do. Sollux tells you it's okay, like he always does. Some things don't change. Behind you, a door opens and closes. The two of you turn to look over the back of the lounge plank to see Aradia emerging from the captain's quarters. "Oh, there you are, Psi. I thought I heard you." Rather than remarking on your emotional state, she says, "The Golds are doing well. They might even be awake by now. I was just about to go check on them. Do you want to come?" You nod and stand up to follow her. You like greeting the newly freed Golds. You think it's good for them to see someone who's gotten through it, and you have a way of knowing what they're likely to need. You and Aradia head to the small medical block on the ship. Usually, your own team can provide sufficient care for the helmsmen you rescue. Since none of them were plugged in for nearly as long as you were, they usually come out in significantly better condition than you started at. The wires are far easier to remove and leave behind much less damage. On the other hand, though, not all of them are as well maintained as you were, which increases the risk of an assortment of complications you never had to worry about. Of course, in many ways, it doesn't matter how long you were in there. The physical pain and nerve damage, the loss of memory and identity, and, of course, the emotional impact are still major challenges. Not everyone responds to it the same way either. Some people break down in relief over getting out. Some want revenge on the people that imprisoned them. Some don't remember who they are at all. And some think there was no point in freeing them, that there isn't a life for them after the helm. You remember feeling that way, especially after having lost everyone you ever knew. But there is a future for you, and there's a future for them, too. When you arrive, you see one of the Goldbloods is already awake. Her head turns in your direction with a spark of pink and purple that doesn't end up doing anything. Whatever she just tried to do, she doesn't have enough power for it right now. Aradia kneels by her bedside and gives her a kind smile. "Hello," she says softly. "My name is Aradia, and this is Psi. How are you feeling?"
Where? She whispers. "It's okay. You're not plugged in anymore. You're on a different ship now."
She gasps and looks around frantically, wincing in pain as she turns, but she relaxes a little when she sees the younger Goldblood still asleep in the other bed.
"Your name is the High Beam, correct? Or you want us to call you your hatch name?"
She looks up at you and hesitates, like she isn't sure how to answer. Maybe she's wary of how you know who she is, or maybe she's realizing how long it's been since anyone asked her what she wanted. You remember that feeling.
"High Beam is fine,"
she answers after a moment's consideration. Her dimly glowing eyes remained fixed on you, like she's examining you closely. After a moment or two, her expression turns astonished as she gasps quietly.
"I know you," she says, mesmerized. "You're the Psiioniic."
You look down with a sheepish grin. You can't really be surprised when people know who you are, but it feels strange when they react like you're some sort of legendary being.
"No need be so formal. You can call me Psi. Or Mituna. Both are good."
You've taken to giving people both your names and letting them choose. It was Karkat who first asked which you would rather go by, wondering if being named for your psionics might bring up bad feelings given that your power was why you were helmed, or if your hatch name might feel more comfortable because it's the one thing no one on the battleship ever called you. You told him you didn't have any problems with either of your names. You like Psi because it's what Signless and Disciple used to call you, but both your full names are perfectly fine. All he said to that was that of course it would be both.
"Mituna, then,"
Highbeam says.
"You got out, too?"
You nod.
"My descendant saved me. Now we search for others. Get them out. Help them get better. Find them somewhere to go."
Highbeam casts a worried glance in the direction of the other bed. Even in sleep, the smaller Goldblood looks pained and frightened, and it hurts to think about how young they are. You think they might even be younger than Sollux. Their profile didn't list an adult title, only their hatch name.
Wherever I end up,
Highbeam tells you quietly,
I want to stay with Atlasp. Protecting them is all I care about.
You nod and give her a reassuring smile.
We can keep you together.
Thank you, Mituna. You and Aradia stay a while, talking to Highbeam until Atlasp wakes up. Once you've made sure they're both feeling all right and gotten them anything they need, you retreat to the quiet of your own respite block and sit down with your husktop. When you first started posting online about your experiences, it was just a way for you to make sense of your feelings. Your thoughts were as messy and disjointed on the screen as they were in your head. But then, people started realizing who you were, and now, instead of fading into obscurity like you'd expected, you're a trusted advocate for helmsmen's liberation, providing fellow ex-helmsmen with resources and support as they heal and build new lives. At its core, though, your page is still a journal. You don't share everything publicly, but you won't pretend you never struggle. New post from PsiCaptor at Taciturn Aberration. Today, 7:22 a.m.
Today was hard. Mission went well. We saved 2 golds. They're doing fine now. One of them is even younger than my descendant. I'm really glad they're safe. But I realized being on these ships, seeing people keep helming us, I don't know why I thought I could handle it. Can't keep doing this to myself. Need to step back. I'll still help people after, get them out. Not worry if can't help with rescue part. Recovery part, important too. I can focus on that. Distance myself from bad shit that happened to me. Help people heal. And help myself heal. One day, I want to be doing something completely different. Think I should find hobby, lol. Sorry if not respond next few days. Gonna take it easy after today. Take care of myself. You take care of yourselves too. Okay?
You do, in fact, spend the next few days not doing much. You sleep a lot. You spend time with your teammates, talking with them or watching movies together. Sollux teaches you how to play this new game he's got, and within a couple hours you're consistently kicking his ass. And, of course, you talk to Highbeam and Atlasp. You've been spending quite a bit of time each day getting to know them, beyond just what they need right now and how well they're healing. You do this with everyone you help, but you have to admit, you're becoming rather fond of these two. One day, Atlas mentions that they had a moirail before they were captured, and says he probably has no idea what happened to them. When you search his name and find him online, by sheer luck, it turns out he lives in the same solar system you're currently in. Sollux helps you establish contact with him, and he's overjoyed to learn that Atlasp is alive and safe. He doesn't need any convincing. He agrees to take both of them in without hesitation. Your ship lands at the port in his city within a couple of days. Before they leave the ship, Highbeam comes to say goodbye to you personally. She gives you a hug and thanks you endlessly for helping her, but especially for helping Atlasp. You tell her they're both welcome to message you anytime, and you hope you'll see them again. She says she'd like that. This is what matters to you. Helping people out of the same place you were in, talking and empathizing with them as they process what they went through and decide what to do next. What you're doing doesn't begin to make up for the shared suffering of your fellow psionics, but every person you help feels like a step closer to realizing a dream you've had for lifetimes. A dream that one day your powers won't be a prison sentence, that your lives can be far more than ships and wires. The next night, Aradia calls everyone into the common area for a meeting. Our next mission is no ordinary operation, she tells you all. While we're still on the lookout for any remaining ships powered by Helm's trolls, we currently find ourselves significantly closer to Alternia than we've been for over half a sweep. You all know what that means. She looks at you with a smile when she says that, and brings up a map of some rocky-looking terrain on the TV. Historical records indicate that this region is where the Disciple fled to after the Signless's execution. We know a lot less about what she did after his passing compared to the Dolorosa and you, Psi. At this, she casts a sympathetic glance in your direction. But we do know she lived in caves in the wilderness, and it's been said that on the walls of those caves, she wrote down everything the Signless ever taught. She turns to you now, and you feel everyone else's attention follow hers. As you speak, you just stare down at the floor.
They tried to destroy any record of his speeches. Barely anything left these days. Small quotes or paraphrases, maybe. Usually from people who hated him. So, if this transcript is real,
the historical and sociological value of such a complete documentation would be immeasurable, Aradia agrees.
And it would mean a lot to me to see her work. And his.
Of course, when we've got someone who knew her personally, who could recognize her writing and would know where she was likely to hide, what choice do I have but to bring you? She grins at you knowingly, playing it off like bringing you is just the logical choice, but you have a feeling she would make sure you were there no matter what. She turns back to the map and is all business again. Now we've narrowed down the location to this area here, and Feferi has marked the entire surrounding area as protected, so nothing should disturb the site. Once we're on planet, our job is to document everything we can find, in high-quality photo and video form, as well as manually transcribing the writing. It's rare to find such a first-hand source for something this historically important, so while the task ahead of us is much simpler and safer than what we usually do, this mission is no less important than any other. I want everyone focused and ready. We'll land at the site in a couple of weeks. You awaken in your small, dim respite block to no sound but your own breathing, as the echoes of whatever dream you are having dissipate from your mind. Actually, you're surprised not to hear any conversation or activity through the walls. Usually, by the time you're up, everyone else is already going about their days. Not quite willing to commit to getting up yet, you almost instantly close your eyes again and nestle deeper into your blankets. For a small ship that's constantly on the move, dealing with Soper is more hassle than it's worth, so the whole team has gotten used to sleeping without it. You prefer beds anyway. It's so comfortable and warm in here, you're tempted to just go back to sleep. Until you remember what day it is. Today, you're arriving on Alternia. As soon as the thought crosses your mind, you find the motivation to get out of bed, pull on your mission clothes, and run a brush through your hair before heading out to the main area of the ship. You're still plugging in your speech device when Nepeta bounds up to you with a familiar, excited energy.
Mutuna, you're just in time! We're about to land! Come look!
You have just enough time to kick off the ground with your psionics before she grabs your wrist and runs, half leading and half dragging you down the hall to a large window. This must be where everyone else has been all evening, or nearly everyone else. Aradia and Equius are busy with navigating and piloting the ship, operations with which you are happy to be entirely uninvolved. You shuffle into the room between Nepeta and Sollux to watch Alternia's gray surface slowly grow bigger in the ship's view, and all you can do is stare in awe for a moment.
Haven't seen it in a while.
You've been back to Alternia before, at least in the sense that you've flown here, but the last time you stood on the surface of your home planet was the day you were abducted by the Empire. Nepeta takes your hand again, gently this time, and both of you stand with your Ganderbulbs glued to the planet as it takes up the rest of the window.
Do you miss it?
She asks softly.
Don't remember much. A lot of bad things happened to me here. But a lot of good things, too.
Nepeta nods thoughtfully.
I know what you mean. Sometimes I miss it, even though it wasn't perfect. It can't be home again, or at least not the same way as before, and I don't think I would want it to stay the same. But I think it's okay to miss it.
Yeah. It's different now. I'm different now. Miss it and wish it was better. Both can be true.
You turn to the other three.
What about you guys? Do you miss Alternia?
Nope, Karkat answers instantly, and you can't say you're surprised. Signless went to great lengths to hide his blood color, and you're sure the mutant bloods after him didn't have it any easier.
Fair enough.
I've never really felt like I belonged somewhere, Karkat goes on. I guess I connect more to people than places. I've got all the home I need in you guys. There's a genuinely sentimental grin on Sollux's face, but he quickly replaces it with something more mischievous as he snickers. You sappy dork. Karkat reaches out from where Kanaya has embraced him from behind and smacks Sollux lightly on the arm.
I too grew up somewhat isolated in a place that presented unusual challenges,
Kanaya tells you.
I have fond memories of my home on Alternia, but it wouldn't feel the same to return there now, especially knowing I'm needed here.
I'm with KK. I don't care about places. Sollux chimes in. I'm happier up here than I ever was down there, because I'm doing something that matters. You reach for him with your free hand and pull him close. You can hear the part he isn't saying loud and clear. You know it because it's how you felt too. Growing up on Alternia, knowing where the Empire would put you the moment they got their hands on you, you understand why he felt like nothing was worth doing. What we're about to do, he says softly, that matters. Trolls have been spacefaring for a long, long time, and space travel has always been their top priority. As such, most aspects of ship technology, the one glaring exception being fuel, have been nearly perfected. All that to say, you can barely feel the moment your craft enters Alternia's atmosphere. You can just hear a slight change in the steady hum of the ship's movement now that it's facing resistance. All right, we're about to land, so let me go over the plan, Karkat says, taking on an authoritative tone that ends everyone's attention. Aradia and Equius are going to be guarding the outside. It's just the 5 of us going in. From what we know, this place has been untouched for a long time, but we need to be ready for anything. Sollux and Nepeta will go in first, light the place up, and ensure there's no danger. Once we're all in, stay in sight. No going off alone. Everyone got that? Sir, yes, sir, Sollux responds with a sarcastic little grin. Fuck you! Everyone else understand the plan?
Sir, yes, sir,
Kanaya responds innocuously. Why do I fucking bother? Let's go before I strangle you! Sollux snickers a little as you all gather your equipment and migrate toward the airlock, but he shuts up as the doors start opening. One by one, you head down, off the ship, and into open air. Your first steps onto Alternia's surface, though not nearly as momentous as your departure from the battleship, are emotionally charged in their own way. You've been on a few planets now, wherever you land for missions or meetups. Several of them are planets you'd flown to before, but never seen the surface of. but those places are nowhere near as important to you as this one. A shiver runs down your posture pole when the cool evening breeze reaches you. Your blood pressure pounds as you take in the wispy clouds above you, the purple grass beneath your feet, the rough mountains and cliffs surrounding you. You feel almost like you're dreaming. You've had dreams about places like this. Some just dreams, and some actual memories. Your fragmented recollection of the places you've hidden and the survival skills Disciple taught you. The memories echo in your mind, and you can almost feel your pan buzzing. At the edge of your awareness, Karkat stumbles ahead of you all, scowling at a tablet screen.
I think we're supposed to go this way? Why isn't the cave entrance marked on here? This doesn't look...
Let me see it, Sollux says, and doesn't wait for an answer before pulling the tablet from Karkat's hands. You tune out the ensuing bickering. Over a gust of wind, you're almost certain you hear something else from among the trees. A voice, perhaps? Trance-like, you start to wander in its direction and feel inexplicably confident not only that this way is safe, but that it's where you need to go. If you were still registering the voices behind you, you would hear Kanaya ask,
"What is it, Matuna?"
Instead, all you hear is that other voice, laughter and indistinct speech. You keep following the sound, and it gets clearer. It's your name. The voice is calling for you, over and over, drowning out the same call from Karkat and Sollux trying to ask you where the hell you're going. Trusting your own instincts and survival knowledge, you dart around a bend and find what you're after. Signless is standing there, radiant as ever, and he lights up even more when he sees you.
Sai, come on, I have something to show you.
He turns and runs off before you can reach him. It's such a familiar feeling, being out here in the wild with him. It's like neither of you ever left. Like so many times before, he wants to take you somewhere, and like so many times before, you have no choice but to follow him. The immediate area isn't anywhere you've been before, as far as you can tell, but Signless seems to know exactly where he's going. He easily glides and leaps across fallen trees and rocky ground like he's floating on the wind, and as you follow gracelessly in his footsteps, you have to boost yourself psionically over the more difficult terrain to keep your balance. Even aided by your Psi, you're finding it a little hard to keep up. You try to call out, but Signless doesn't seem to hear it. He bounds over the rocks and weaves between the trees without slowing down, laughing again before he disappears around a cliffside. With a defeated sigh, you float completely off the ground and zip over to the place you saw him last, landing precisely where he stood just a second ago. You peer around the corner, and he's not there. You turn your head in every direction, listening intently for his voice and scanning for any trace of him. But all you see is forested mountains, and all you hear is the breeze.
Signless?
You call, but you know you won't get a response. He's not here. He was never here. Your head grows heavy as reality floods back in. Your broken think pan must have been fucking with you. Again. You feel your blood pressure sinking in your chest as you realize that, while on a mission, you strayed a good distance away from the ship, into unfamiliar and potentially dangerous territory, without saying anything to anyone before taking off. Shit, you're gonna be in so much trouble when you get back. How far did you even go? Where the hell are you? Your eyes land on the opening in the cliffside next to you. At first glance, it doesn't look especially deep. It could shield you from the sun, but not much else. But as you approach and examine the interior, you see the edges of shadows that might conceal something more. A vague thought crosses your mind that a hidden entrance is exactly the sort of thing Disciple would look for. Before you can investigate further, though, you hear a voice behind you. Sai? You let out a startled yelp and turn to see Sollux standing there watching you with concern. The others aren't far behind him. Hey, it's just me, he says, raising his hands innocently. You really didn't hear me coming, huh? Is everything okay? What happened?
I think I found
What? How did you? You didn't even see the map.
Karkat points out breathlessly, the last of your group to catch up to your position.
Are you sure this is the right place?
You just nod. You can't explain your certainty, and in all honesty, you would doubt you too. Normally, you're not one to believe that everything happens for a reason. Sometimes shit just happens, not because it's predestined, but because it's just how the cards fall. But you'll readily admit that Signless could make you believe in anything. And right now, you believe wholeheartedly that what happened just now, forgetting where and when you were for the first time in Periges almost as soon as you touched Alternia's surface, and being led to this exact spot by a vision of Signless, cannot be a coincidence. You're tempted to walk right in there and prove it, but you've already gone off by yourself unannounced once today, and you do actually respect Aradia and her orders. You stay back as Sollux steps toward the entrance, his hand tracing a path across the stone as he reaches the curve in the opening and peers around it. He turns back to the group and says, "It's definitely way deeper than it looks from out here. I think he's right. You ready, Nep?" Sollux and Nepeta head in together, their backpacks full of rechargeable lamps and their eyes and ears focused on whatever they may find inside. The rest of you wait tensely for them to call you in. It's quiet, so you don't think anything's threatened to them, but you all hold your breath all the same. After a couple of minutes, Karkat asks over comms,
"Everything okay in there?"
"Yeah, we're good," Sollux answers. "This place is just huge. I think we're all set now, though. We can meet you at the entrance." Not long after that, Nepeta pokes her head around to greet you, and the three of you follow her in. You, then Karkat, then Kanaya.
"It drops down a little here, so watch your step," she tells you.
You simply float over the drop and land on the flatter ground below, beaming.
"That works too?"
Nepeta nods. Karkat grumbles as he steps down slowly and unsteadily.
"If I could just float over everything."
Your grin widens with a mischievous laugh as you hold up one hand and let it spark with sigh. Karkat glares at you before you can say anything.
"Do not! God, I swear, everything about you explains everything about Sollux."
I sure hope it does.
You point out as innocently as you can.
"That is how genetics works, Karkat,"
Kanaya adds helpfully.
"I'd command you two to shut up if I could,"
Karkat remarks with a growl. He doesn't need to command it. As soon as you look up at the cave around you, you're stunned into silence. A chill runs through you that you're not sure you can solely attribute to the air in here. Illuminated by the large rechargeable lamps Sollux set up, the cave walls are haunting. Nearly every inch of them is covered in writing, scrawled in an assortment of dark colors, up to just a few inches above your head. Poor Disciple was even shorter than Signless. All that text is broken up into panels, and there are even illustrations between some of them.
"Whoa,"
Karkat breathes.
"There's so much."
Karkat and Kanaya ready their cameras and start carefully photographing everything. You, meanwhile, are frozen in place. It's all here.
This...
You breathe in wonder. You'd been afraid that you'd lost them, that both your family and their work were gone for good. But here it is. Here they are, their legacy on these walls. You walk slowly along the edge of the cave like you're in an art museum, not reading the full text, but looking over it all with admiration. Disciple's memory was impeccable. If only one of you could have escaped, you're glad it was her. Your eyes pass over the next transcript, and for a moment you think you see your name, but no, it's spelled normally. That our blood should not determine our roles in society, that the warmest colors should not be limited to the jobs no one else wants, that the purple and blue bloods should not be granted more power and wealth on the sole basis of their caste, and that no psionic should be bound to the inescapable fate of the helm. You turn to Sollux, who stands behind you taking a video of everything, and motion for him to come closer.
Sollux, look. I remember this one.
You point out to him the sentence that caught your eye just now, The same one that caught your ear all the way back then. These words are why you fled helming, why you joined the Signless's rebellion in the first place. These words changed the course of your life.
That was first time heard anyone say that.
You tell Sollux. He brings the camera closer to the line you pointed out, and then steps back again. What's that? He asks, pointing off to the right. The illustration between this entry and the next is a simple monochrome silhouette of a troll surrounded by lightning bolts. Upon closer inspection, you realize this tall, thin, blank-eyed, four-horned troll is you. His pupilless eyes are the only facial feature, his gaze impassive and serene. His horns merge with the short, sharp shapes of his hair, and his arms are outstretched by his sides as if he is projecting the sparks that fill the air around him. Though the painting is done in one solid dark color, the beams circling his head make him seem to glow. He looks perfect, beautiful, strong, radiant. He looks the way Disciple must have seen you. You look so different now from the Psi she knew. Would she recognize you like this? Disciple knew sides of you that you never let anyone but your family see. The sweeps have worn you down, taken almost everything you had, broken you apart, and left you scarred. But you're still here. You're still you. And undoubtedly, you're still her Psi. It takes a while for your little crew to work through all the various offshoots of the main chamber, capturing detailed photos and videos of everything you find as you go. You almost don't want to leave, but by the time everyone is reasonably confident you've got everything, your legs hurt too much to keep your balance. Your ThinkPan, overwhelmed as it is by memories and emotions, is similarly ready to call it quits. It's a good kind of tired, though. You spend the next few weeks carefully reading every passage, categorizing them all, and even taking the time to write your own notes about some of them. Many of them you must have heard before. You were present for almost every speech Signless gave once you joined him. But as you read them now, only a sparse few phrases strike you as vaguely familiar. Karkat reads everything with you.
When I was a kid, I actively tried to distance myself from the idea I even had an ancestor at all, he admits. So now I feel like I don't know as much about him as I should, and I have to make up for it.
A bittersweet smile crosses your face.
Tell you what he told me first time we met. It's never too late.
So it becomes a routine. Every day, you sit together and read a few entries and talk about it. Or mostly he talks and you occasionally chip in. He helps you write your notes, summarizing and analyzing each piece. There's a certain project you've had in mind for a long time now, an idea for what to do with all this text. It's no trouble at all to lay the groundwork yourself, and then you ask Sollux to lend a hand with the rest. He agrees without hesitation, and the two of you do nearly nothing else for the next 2 days. You hate to admit it, but Karkat is right. Captors don't do anything in moderation. When it's all done, your blood pusher pounds and your hands tremble, this time from excitement rather than fear. You eagerly press publish on a post that's waited in your drafts for days, and collapse into Sollux's embrace with relief, feeling like you've just accomplished the mission of a lifetime. With one simple tap, you finally give the world a gift it's needed for a long time. New post from PsiCaptor at Taciturn Aberration. Today, 11:24 p.m.
Special announcement! Last perigee, we visit Alternia. For one reason only. Search for complete works of the Signless. Transcribed on cave walls by the Disciple. Some people didn't think it was true. We decided to find out. You may already know. I knew Signless and Disciple. Understatement. could go on about how important to me they are. I love them more than I can say. Point is, I know them and their work extremely well. Let me confirm firsthand. This transcript is real. It is accurate. It was made by the disciple. And now you can read it.
Signless.alt.
I made this website myself. Worked hard on it. Carcat helped annotate and summarize. Sollux helped make all the pages. But mostly my work. I wanted for so long see Signless's work shared with world. I'm sad it took until 4,000 sweeps after he died. But I'm happy I got to see it happen. I got to make it happen. Maybe words that changed my life for the better will change yours too.